Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ, you're here on the home of the slightly above average ship review. Got a match for you of a destroyer in early access, the only early access ship I managed to get out of the entire campaign, the German Tier 6 tech tree destroyer Z-31. We're on Land of Fire, we are down tier. That Mahan you see above me is in a failed division. Please don't do that. But as you can see down at the bottom, Alabama on our team, Richelieu on the enemy team. We are down tier in this match today. All right, we're going to move out here and head towards Charlie. Really quickly, over at Wow's Builds, damage record, a pending record, 139,953. Base XP record, 3,969. Although there's a pending one for the high damage player, 4,109. We are not going to get totally very close to those today here in the Z-31, but I promise you we're going to have a great match. And you will see that. All right, peeking again at the teams, Moss, Z-23. Obviously, our encounter with the Z-23 is going to be a very telling one. As a down-tier ship, we're going to have a tough road to hoe, as they say, to beat the Z-23 in a battle. Or Z-23, if you're from one of those countries. All right, pardon me. We've got a battleship over there, and we're going to keep an eye on him. Obviously, the smoke means there's a destroyer there, La Foudre, a little bit out of torpedo range, just 7.5 kilometers with these torpedoes. But you do have big guns, 5 big guns, so we're going to hang out for a little bit. While we're hanging out and maneuvering, let's go over to a little bit of the ship history. All right, a 1936A mob destroyer. So that's Z-31 through Z-39. They were originally designed as a 1938 B class, but unfortunately, they had some problems with the armament. The B class was supposed to be smaller than the 1936A ships, armed with 4 5-inch guns and 2 twin turrets. And they just couldn't pull that off as we get the solo base cap there. And we're going to head towards Bravo. And I'm wondering, like, what is this other destroyer doing? He didn't want to capture Bravo. He ran away. And now he's going to go into the cap that I already captured. Who knows? Maybe he's going to engage the enemies over there. I'm looking on the bright side. All right, back to the Z-31. Essentially, Germany just reordered them as a revision of the 1936A class, which is where we get this mob designation. They ended up ordering Z-31 through Z-39. So essentially what you're seeing here is a sister ship to any of those other Z ships that exist in the game. So Z-39, Z-35, any other ships in that number range are all sister ships to this ship. Although I will note, Z-35 is different armament, has 5 128s. This ship has 4 150 millimeter guns. All right, what's over here? A Boise. I would really love my teammates to shoot the Boise. We're going to put some torps in the water. The torps don't do a ton of damage. Now I know there's a destroyer over here, but they're torpedoes. This ship is definitely all about the guns. And if you watch my little sister video, I will try to link it here as we spot the Z-23. And we're going to start shooting because we're spotted. I'm shooting this armor piercing. We were able to do some pretty good damage there. But by and large, I can tell you in my matches with the Z-31, unless it's a ship with a higher tier above you or they're angled to a great extent, you aren't going to do a ton of damage with armor piercing against the enemy destroyers. And that really hurts you because your HE only does 1,500 max HE shell damage. Your armor piercing, on the other hand, and pardon me, I think it might be 1,800 now that I think about it, the HE shell damage. As we're spotted by the Z-23, As you can see, it's switched to HE. Your AP damage, though, is insane. It's 3,700 max AP damage. So if this Boise was a little bit closer, I'd be loading AP. Instead, we're going to keep shooting HE in case the Z-23 shows back up. We set them on fire and we finish them off for our first kill. I did switch armor piercing there, was not needed, as we remain in the smoke screen. And right now, looking at the scoreboard, our team's lost 3 ships. The enemy team's only lost 1. The enemy has 2 caps. We only have 1 cap. So we got a lot of work to do here. And we're going to do it in the Z-23. All right, spotted again. There is, pardon me, in the Z-31. Good grief. All right, there's the Z-23. We are shooting. Isn't that odd? You know this ship is more technologically advanced than the lower number, higher tier ship. Whatever. All right, other destroyer in the match. We're fighting 2 at the same time. Got the Moss out here. We are firing the Moss up. Now, the Moss only a tier 5. We're going to put some torpedoes in the water here. And he's turning, so those probably won't hit him. We have torpedoes incoming, but we're turning away. Continuing to fire our HE at the Moss, and he maneuvered back into my torpedoes. Fatal mistake, young man. All right, kill number 2. Still got the Z-23 out there. At this time, I elected to go dark and let this encounter kind of stop for right now. I need a little breathing room. I need some time to re-engage him kind of when I want to do the engagement, not when he's going to get me with a 2-on-1 or something like that. So even though we are continuing to shoot, we're testing out this long-range artillery. You can see good flat trajectories for the most part on these guns. Really like the 150s aside from the HE damage. And we scare the Z-23 into a smokescreen of his own making. And so he's going to continue to shoot at us. And he just didn't have very good aim right there. So he's going to go fully into his smoke. And at that point, we drop spot. All right, real quickly, back to the history of the ship. So they were launched. It did a lot of mine laying, escorts and stuff like that. Blah, 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 lengthy workup process, laying minefield in 1943, hit by coastal artillery, refitted in 1944, returned to Norway, escort operations from Finland and Norway in response to a Soviet offensive, continuing with escort and mine-laying duties with Z-39 and Z-33, was in a flotilla, the 4th Destroyer Flotilla, Z-31, 34, and 38, in the Baltic, was intercepted by British cruisers Mauritius and Diadem. Z-31 was hit, the front turret was destroyed. Off and on through the war, that turret was replaced from the double guns you see here in the game to a single gun several times. 55 men were killed, 24 wounded. Repaired in Oslo, Bergen, Horten. Z-31 again with Z-34 and another ship, Lutzow, shelled Soviet troops. Blah, blah, blah. Towed the Gneisenau to be sunk as a barrier of Gotenhafen Harbor. A shell exploded that year in the barrel and wounded some people. 18 people were wounded, 4 people were killed. Eventually, Z-31 survived the war and was transferred to France. Here we're getting this solo base cap of Bravo. Really would love my teammates to leave Charlie and come help me out. We have a bunch of enemy ships over here, all of them pretty much. So we're going to turn here and try to engage the hood. I am mindful of my RDF indicators, the other enemy destroyer, the Z-23. So I'm putting that up as a block to be able to engage the hood if I choose to do so. Also, so we can finish capping the base. And I was hoping the hood would get in torpedo range. Looks like it isn't, so I'm going to have to do some maneuvering in my smoke screen. Always remember to maneuver in your smoke screen, folks. Or set your smoke screen and leave it, which we're going to do right now. We got that solo base cap. We don't have a reason to hang around. So we're going to get out here and try to engage the hood. And you can see the enemy destroyer move back into Bravo, and that's okay. We are going to engage him in just a minute. All right, here we're going to torp out on the hood. I should have looked in the bino view. The bow of the hood is facing towards the alpha cap. So essentially, I torped thinking the bow was in the front, but the bow is in the middle of the screen right now, as you can see. I'm like, whoops. So he would have to back into those torpedoes for them to be most effective. All right, here's the Z-39 again. I don't think the 128 shells are as effective at range as these 150s are. And we're going to start farming him for damage right now. And as you can see, no problem getting cap defended flags. And although his shells are knocking out my rudder and propulsion, his accuracy is terrible as we get some torpedo strikes on the hood. But also he's not doing any damage. And we do finish off the hood by flooding. So we'll take that. Continuing to damage Z-23. And again, these big 150s are punching above their weight. We're going to drive him out of the cap circle and successfully defend the Bravo cap. And then, of course, my teammates finish him off. All right, so we got 2 kills, 2 solo base caps. We are going to move out towards Charlie. And while we're doing that, let's go back to the history of this really interesting ship and talk about what happened after the war when it was transferred to France. It was renamed Marceau. Now, let me know if you think this would be a ship you'd be interested in seeing in the game. It underwent a major refit in which the forward 10.5 centimeter gun, remember, the turret was destroyed, the twin gun turret was destroyed. They put a single gun back on. It was replaced by a 15 centimeter gun. The ship's anti-aircraft was removed, and they put in 8 Bofors 40 millimeter guns. That's U.S. AA, so you know that's good AA. And they put U.S. radar on the Marceau. So think about it. That could be a Tier 6 premium. This ship with 15 centimeter guns, and then you're also going to get American AA and American radar. That would be an interesting ship. All right. Okay, back to the match. I think we're done talking about the history. We are going to look at these enemy ships here, and really, we're just going to look at them initially because my goal is to flip this cap, to salt the game away. Now, we will engage them with guns. We will, honest. But I really wanted to go back to Wells builds at the end of this match and give you our stat comparison. We're comparing effective hit points, sigma value, AP DPM, torpedo damage, and max AA DPS. All right, there is a ton of destroyers at Tier 6, probably 40 to 50. AP DPM, Bulletproof, and Z-35 are number 1. Z-31 is 6th at 201,818. Torpedo damage, number 1, ALU Kakazi and Yukikazi, 21,367. Way on down the list, bottom third, Z-31, 12,867. AA DPS, the best is Kid at 157. Scrolling. Bottom third, 34 for the Z-31. Effective hit points, Z-31 is number 1, 23,300. And every ship at the tier has sigma value, so I guess that was kind of a dumb thing to look at. Instead, let's look at the concealment. Because I'm not smart, I didn't think about that. The least detectable ship is Asagio and Yukikazi. The most detectable ship is Lucatargo at 7.6 kilometers. Z-31 is 7.2 kilometers in effective detection, base value. All right, we got torpedoes in the water. We have captured the cap, and we are going to do a little damage farming here in a minute. Even though we don't have a lot of hit points left, we're putting the torpedoes out in the water. We are trying to get a destroyer hat trick. Just think, if this wasn't the Tech Tree Spotlight, it would be a destroyer hat trick video. All right, torpedoes out on La Foudre. We're going to look at that. They look good. They fall. I think he actually got inside of them. But anyway, they missed. We're going to light up the Helena. We're using our armor piercing. And the match ends. Did we not get a hat trick? I guess we didn't. For some reason, I thought this was a hat trick match. I am very disappointed. All right, look at those milestones. Here on the victory screen, oh, we did have a hat trick. All right, 60,110 damage. That's not very impressive. We did have 3 kills and 3 solo base caps. We ended up with 387,854 silver, over 12,000 ship and commander XP in the Z-31. I don't understand why those numbers aren't the same anymore. They used to be identical in many of my earlier videos, and they're not that way anymore. Very odd. All right, so let's go look at the team results here. We don't need to see Erich Bai's smiling face and arm behind his back job. All right, base XP 3267. 3 kills, 3 solo base caps. It is a destroyer hat trick, folks. And in absence of a Kraken, sorry, I'm not as good as some other people from Canada. I'll take a hat trick because I think that's a great game. I would say 3267 base XP is a really nice game and nothing to scoff at. All right, let's go into the port, take a look at the ship. As you can see, it is in early access. Just a scooch before we get it all maxed out. Taking a look at the upgrades, aiming system mod 1, obviously is a gunboat. I would recommend that. Propulsion mod 2 and concealment system mod 1. All that's pretty self-explanatory. All the upgrades are installed. Here in the loadout, 2 charges of the smoke generator, 2 charges of the engine boost. We were running the Epic Ship XP booster and the Common Battle booster for speed. We've got the standard type camo, permanent, and the early adopter flag. Taking a look at the specs, 25,700 hit points, definitely your ship's strong point. You got that one twin 150 up front, and then 2 individual 150s to the rear. Firing range 11.6 kilometers, reload in 5.2 seconds, 11.3 second turn time. HE shells, as I corrected, 1,800 max damage with a 12% fire chance. AP shells 3,700 max damage. So good guns, but again, you got to pick your engagements. You won't win a gunfight, and AP really hard to get it to activate on a lot of destroyers. All right, 2 quad launchers reload in 2 minutes. Max damage is 13,639. 7.5 kilometer range at 54 knots. The detectability is 1,300 meters. Slow. AA defense, probably enough to keep yourself from being a total target, but not very impressive otherwise. You can see there, just goes out to 3.5 kilometers, and the max AA DPS, as mentioned, is just 41. That's pretty bad. Maneuverability, it's a very slow ship. 36 knots is not fast. 670 meter turning circle, an abysmal 5.3 second rudder shift time. Concealment, 5.6 on the surface, 3.1 in the air, 3.1 when firing from smoke in our build here today. Taking a look at the stats, played 22 games, just under 500. Kill-death ratio looks like 1.5. And we did have a 4-kill game with 82,000 damage, but did not have the XP of this game, which is why I'm showing you this game, to encourage good destroyer play. Not necessarily all about kills. You can have a 5-kill game and not do a lot of XP. I know, because I have them. But a 3,267 base XP game is a good game. Here in the armor viewer, you do have some armor on the side of the ship. Maybe might activate a Z-31's or arm the AP. Also, the front turret has a plate on it. Here is our commander, the commander I recommend, fully maxed out Eric Bay, or Eric Bay. I think that's what it is. We got Sims for hit points and Sajan Bing for the ricochet angles of the AP. All right, pretty standard gunboat build. As you can see here at our selections, I don't know if Perceptive is as good. I like Twist and Track with a gunboat, but again, you're not going to be knife fighting with this ship, so maybe you could run Perceptive in the third row. Fourth row, Torpedo Royal feels really out of place in this commander because he's a gunboat commander. I would like it if they moved that sonar skill to row 4, although again, you don't have sonar in this ship, so you wouldn't be using it anyway. Listen closely. I mean, you're sharing it with the concealment, and nobody's going to pick that, you know? Anyway, that's the ship. Like, comment, subscribe below. See you on the next video.